Now, this is how the birth of Jesus Christ came about. When his mother Mary was engaged to Joseph, but before they lived together, she was found with child through the power of the Holy Spirit. Joseph, her husband, an upright man, unwilling to expose her to the law, decided to divorce her quietly. Such was his intention when suddenly the angel of the Lord appeared in a dream and said to him, "Joseph, son of David, have no fear about taking Mary as your wife. It is by the Holy Spirit that she has conceived this child. She is to have a son, and you are to name him Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins." All this happened to fulfill what the Lord had said to the prophet, "The virgin shall be with child and give birth to a son, and they shall call him Emmanuel," a name which means God is with us. Verbum Domini. Let us all be seated. Today, we are celebrating the birthday of the Blessed Virgin Mary. The birth of Jesus Christ is described in today's Gospel, and not so much the birth of the Blessed Virgin Mary. And this is a practice found among the holy authors of the Gospel, that whenever they speak about themselves in the Gospel, they would never mention their names. And so the humility of the Blessed Virgin Mary is shown precisely in the same way that it is her birthday, but Holy Mother the Church, honoring her humility, had instead described the birth of Christ and the virtue of Saint Joseph. Yesterday, we have seen the humility of Saint Peter. Saint Peter, who loved Christ so much and who wanted very much to be united with Christ, instead of telling Christ to come to him, instead told Christ, "Leave me, for I am a sinful man." So the attitude of Saint Peter was that, finding himself a sinner, he was going to drive Christ away. Now in scriptures, especially when saints speak, you have to note what they are saying, because sometimes they mean the opposite of what they are saying. So St. Peter says, "Leave me," or "Go away from me," or he wanted to send Christ away, but really what he meant was he wanted to be united with Christ. Notice that Saint Joseph did exactly the same thing, showing his great humility. So Joseph and Mary were betrothed, and Joseph one day finds that Mary was with child. Of course, for one who is betrothed to the Blessed Virgin Mary, he was a little surprised. It couldn't happen because he was already assigned to be the protector of the Blessed Virgin Mary. That was the practice of the Jewish people, that before marriage, the husband becomes a guardian or protector of the chastity of his wife-to-be. And so Joseph was already protecting and watching over the Blessed Virgin Mary, whom eventually he was going to marry. But in spite of all his watching, he finds the Blessed Virgin Mary with child. For Saint Joseph, this was impossible because he had done his job very well of watching over her. Wondering what happened, Joseph recalled the prophecy of the Old Testament, that a virgin shall be with child and give birth to a son, and they shall call him Emmanuel. Now all the Jews in the Old Testament knew this prophecy. Everybody was waiting for the Messiah, but they did not quite notice that the Messiah was going to be born of a virgin. And so Saint Joseph, knowing this prophecy and finding Mary with child, began to think that this could be the virgin mother of the Messiah. And the moment he noticed this, he found himself to be unworthy of the woman who was betrothed to him. So Joseph was thinking, I am going to marry this woman, and she is supposed to be the mother of the Messiah. Immediately, he finds himself unworthy. And so, exactly like Saint Peter, he thought of driving her away or sending her away, finding because he was unworthy to be espoused to a virgin that is meant to be the mother of the Messiah. And so it was with this thought that Saint Joseph was going to send her away. But then this would complicate matter. Complicate matter in the sense that God did not want anyone to know, especially the devil, that Jesus Christ was going to be born of a virgin. The devil did not want anybody to know, because the devil was going to exert all his efforts to prevent the death of the Messiah. It was not the devil who wanted Jesus Christ to be crucified. No. The devil thought he was just crucifying an ordinary man. He did not want to kill the Messiah, because that would mean the salvation and redemption of all mankind. And so the devil was planning that if he ever discovers who the Messiah is when he is born, he is meant to protect the Messiah so that he cannot die and redeem mankind. And so it was important for God to make sure that the birth of Christ through a virgin should not be known by the devil. And so St. Augustine says it is for this reason that God assigned a husband and a protector for the Blessed Virgin Mary, to hide from the eyes of the devil the virginity of the Mother of God. Now, Saint Joseph knew all of this because he was studying the Old Testament. But of course, it is always nicer if you are doubly sure. As we always mention to you, you should always be doubly sure. Always do things twice to make sure it is the right thing. And so Christ sends an angel to Joseph to explain to him exactly what happened. Joseph knew very well that a virgin will be the mother of the Messiah, but he did not quite know how that would take place because it was not written in scriptures. And so the angel explained it to him and said, "It is by the Holy Spirit that the child had been conceived." And so now everything was very clear to Joseph, and so he now receives his complete assignment. He was going to protect the Blessed Virgin Mary's virginity, but he would also assist the Blessed Virgin Mary in her travels to Egypt, to Bethlehem, and so on, because after all, the Blessed Virgin Mary remains as a human being and therefore would need the assistance of a man in order to do many things in the care of Jesus Christ. And so now we celebrate the Blessed Virgin Mary, a very important feast for only one reason, because with her birth, the salvation of mankind was ready and prepared because through her human body, God would get the flesh that will form the human body of Jesus Christ. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.